Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to stop and make a quick little video here. It's not going to be too long, but it's going to be long enough for me to make my point. I'm sure by now most of you guys are aware that there is plans to make a remake. Well, actually, no, I'm not even going to use the word remake. There are plans to make another adaptation of the Crow comic book into a film. Now, I read some comments about this movie online. You know, Bradley Cooper was originally cast as Eric Draven, or Draven. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that word. I'm so sorry. But the thing is, he dropped out. And now they're looking to get a new actor to, portray the character. And the thing is, a lot of people are just kind of bad-mouthing this film. I mean, it's understandable to a degree because The Crow was a very classic film. It had a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that made it such a cult among fans. Fans from yesterday and fans from today. Obviously, we know the story about Brandon Lee got shot on set by a prop gun. It was a total accident. No conspiracy bullshit here. And that's kind of one reason why that film is so beloved by comic book enthusiasts and just people in general. You don't have to be a fan of the comic to really like that movie. I like that movie. And it still holds up pretty well today for the most part. People are upset that this is a remake of The Crow. But the thing is, it's not a remake. I'll get into the why in a second. But the thing is, people want them to leave it alone. They want it to, respect the memory of Brandon Lee. They want to respect that film as it is. That is understandable. I agree. That is totally understandable. But like I said, it is not relevant to whether or not this film should be made or not. And here's why. Most people don't know this, and I've already established it earlier in this video. The Crow is based on a comic book. It is based on a comic. Therefore, every single adaptation that comes before, after, 100 years from now, whatever time it may be, is its own separate adaptation of the same source material. So, automatically, this film is not a remake or a reboot. Well, you could say it's a reboot, kind of along the same lines of how Batman Begins rebooted the franchise and made it, better, I guess. Got rid of all the Joel Schumacher bullshit that had plagued Batman for so long. But yeah, The Crow is along those same lines. It is a comic. It is based on source material. See, this film has a source material behind it. Therefore, you can get away with your own adaptation. Yes, The Crow is a classic, a cult classic, but that does not mean you should just have to leave it alone just because some tragedy, marred production and totally changed people's views on that film and it became a legendary film, in filmmaking in general. But, you see, the thing is that as long as the film that you're making is based on a source material, such as a book or a comic book, it is automatically liberated from the ideal of it being a remake. The same went for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Johnny Depp version. I don't consider that a remake of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I consider that a more accurate adaptation. Obviously, with some other differences that were attached to it that made it probably less than good. But it was still its own adaptation. And it was more than likely close to the source material that it was based upon. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was kind of loosely based on the source material. But you know what? I think Tim Burton had every right to make that movie. You know? He had every right to make that movie. Because Willy Wonka was one adaptation. He had another adaptation. You could even argue the same thing for the Lord of the Rings movies. There was cartoon adaptations in the 70s. Peter Jackson adapted it in his own live-action version. Batman, Superman, you know, you have all these different incarnations of comic book-based characters and or book-based characters being readapted into film or TV shows or whatever. The Crow is in that same category. Now, if The Crow was just a movie by itself and they wanted to remake The Crow as just a movie, then that's a different story. Then and only then would I understand the philosophy of leaving something alone to preserve it for all time because of the impact it made to the community. That's just my thoughts, though. That's my thoughts. Whether or not you guys agree with me is purely up to you, but that's just how I view it. I view it as a separate adaptation. I do not view it as a remake. I do not view it as a reboot. I view it as an adaptation done by different hands. Peace!